that brings us to the preview of next week. But it's not a preview of next week. It's a preview of this weekend because, of course, this weekend is Revolution. It's Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Forget that. It's Sunday. That's, as they've been drilling into us. First match is, on the pre-show, is Riho and Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Rebel. However, Rebel may not make this match, as they've made clear, at which point Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, will choose her partner if Rebel can't make the match. Then we have the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal for a future AEW Tag Team Championship match featuring Bear Country, the Dark Order, another Dark Order team, the Inner Circle, Butcher and Blade, Private Party, Top Flight, Death Triangle, Varsity Blondes, Side Owl Brothers, SoCal Uncensored, The Natural Nightmares, Chaos Project, Gun Club, and the Dark Order again. So 3 Dark Order teams, although apparently there may be a surprise entrant. We'll talk about that in a second when we talk about Revolution. Next up will be Miro. Well, I don't know if this is just how the card's laid out. It might not be in this particular order. Miro and Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford versus Best Friends. That is Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. This definitely isn't in the correct order because this is obviously going to be in the main event. Kenny Omega with Don Callis versus Jon Moxley in a exploding barbed wire death match for the AEW World Championship. Cody Rhodes versus Scorpio Sky versus Penta El Zero M versus Lance Archer versus Max Caster versus To Be Determined in a Face of the Revolution ladder match for a future AEW TNT World Title shot. Hangman Adam Page versus Matt Hardy, where the winner receives 100% of the other's first quarter royalties. Hikaru Shida versus Rhea Mizunami for the AEW Women's World Championship. Team Taz, that is Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, with Taz versus Darby Allin and Sting in a street fight. And the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson, in case you forgot, who are champions, going up against Chris Jericho and MJF with Wardlow, apparently. Who knew? For the AEW World Tag Team Championships. That's quite a stacked card. We'll go to Hugh again first. Which match, you're allowed to pick one, are you most excited about here?
Which match am I most excited about?
Yeah, gassed. Jazzed.
I think it's going to be, for me, even though I hate Kip Sabian, it's going to be the Miro, Orange Cassidy, Charles, and Kip match. Because I love 3/4 of that equation, and I hate Kip Sabian.
Interesting pick. So you love them. You love them so much that, despite Kip Sabian, your least favorite wrestler. Am I right in saying?
I am.
It's still your pick.
I'm about begrudgingly willing to accept that Kip Sabian is a relatively talented wrestler, despite his annoying Southern accent. And
it kind of sounded like you were saying Kip Sabianism then, like Marxist Leninist Sabianism. That's the official ideology of the dark.
I don't know.
Anarcho-syndicalist
to be honest though, like you said, it is all about Miro versus Orange Cassidy for me.
This could, it could very well steal the show. An Orange Cassidy match stole the show it didn't steal the show because we had that tag match. However, it came very close to stealing the show, bar that match. At the last Revolution against Panic. So,
to be honest, I at the time felt like it did still. I really loved the tag match, but I was a bit like, it was hard for me to pick the best one. And I don't know, Orange Cassidy's a genius. We all know it. He's a great wrestler. I don't know.
Patrick, match you're looking forward to the most?
The barbed wire blow up death match, exploding bitches death match. Yeah,
the exploding bitches death match.
Yeah.
Need we say more?
Because I'm really like I said before many times that I'm real like hardcore fan of like back in the day stuff. I'm not a real deathmatch fan, but I like this special stipulation, this gimmick match they're putting up with it, because like I said before, the characters are fitting into it right now really good, and they just have this once in a while attraction in it, which is also nice because I think it's because of the missing crowd, or 90% of the crowd which is missing. They're just putting it up now during COVID, these matches, instead of like a proper match between both of them. And that's what I'm most excited for from the matches, like, but just
proper match.
Sorry?
How dare you insinuate it's not a proper match? There's a title online. It has to be a proper match.
Yeah, we have to stay in kayfabe. This is the best match in the world. Now, it's just like from the stipulation, you will see a lot of blood, a lot of explosions, and a lot of bitches maybe. But it's not the wrestling match most people maybe Thomas losing it. Okay, want to see or like what they can see.
I remember that was a thing you said last week. Like you accidentally said it, but what were you trying to say when you said it?
I don't know. I just referenced to last week again because you were having fun with it. And see, I found a spot there.
Exploding bitches. Yeah. I'm just to be different. I mean, probably if I'm being honest, that's probably what I'm excited about the most. But I'm very, very excited about Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho and MJF. I think there's a lot of emotional investment to that story now, which is, I think, more so than the Moxley Omega match. For me, the Moxley Omega recent feud has just amounted to, hey, Kenny, remember how we used to be enemies? Like, we can still be enemies. Okay, let's fight. Do you know what I mean? It's not been as much bad blood as much as they would try to make us believe. There hasn't really been as much bad blood as between the Young Bucks and Chris Jericho and MJF. I mean, it's cheap heat. It's cheap heat all over. It's attacking a parent, but it works. Do you know what I mean? And it has worked as long as they don't over rely on cheap heat. But it worked. So I'm excited for that match. It's time to speculate. There are, I believe. I mean, Liam told me this, so it might be bullshit. But I was told there will be a surprise entrant in the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal match. Can either of you confirm this?
Patrick has a German site open that has triple question mark as one of the entrants. So yes.
Okay.
We can confirm it according to a German wrestling website.
In German, we say for triple question marks.
I think a lot of people are going to be thinking Good Brothers for this. Let me put someone else out there for you.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Actually,
let me put another team out there for you. A team who's based in Florida right now. Guerrillas of Destiny.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good. Luckily, I didn't put out the prediction game yet. So.
Sounds good.
That would be dope. Really.
They're currently in Florida filming New Japan Strong. So.
Oh, are they? Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice.
They are. Yeah.
Liam put that prediction thing, and he said, "Who do you think it's going to be?" And I put tsunami and earthquake. So,
fingers crossed.
That would be brilliant. That would be so weird.
Are there any other tag teams seriously contenders you'd like to put out there other than Good Brothers and Guerrillas of Destiny?
The thing is, currently for me, all of the tag teams are in there.
Yeah. True.
So I need to either go to NJPW or Impact.
Yeah.
And in my head, it's Good Brothers makes the most sense, but Guerrillas of Destiny makes as much sense as Good Brothers. In a way.
Dude, if I hear that, ain't nobody realer than Gorilla, I'm going to fucking... Oh.
And you know this, Tom, because you've known me for a while. I'm a massive Guerrillas fan. Guerrillas of Destiny fan. I love those two. Like, they're fantastic. So,
okay,
I don't know.
So after that, the next one to speculate about is the ladder match. I'm just going to throw out a few names that I've heard batted around in discussion from various people. This one, I'm not sure how accurate this would be, but Tetsuya Naito, I've heard mentioned. They have made out that this one is going to be quite a big wrestler, and it was actually Jack that suggested Tetsuya Naito because he was quote unquote injured and taken out of Castle Attack. Was he? Did he make Castle Attack? I didn't end up watching it.
No, I think he was taken out of Castle Attack. I'm not sure though.
And hasn't appeared otherwise, and Jack's quite suspicious it's a work. For me, for New Japan to actually do a worked injury like that as an excuse to transfer and quarantine someone for it to appear on another show in another country, AEW would have to promise them something really good in return, which they may very well have done. If Tetsuya Naito shows up, I'll just say this: if Tetsuya Naito ends up in that ladder match, and New Japan have faked an injury, kayfabed an injury, and given him to another show, then I would say bet your bottom dollar that Kenny Omega is returning to the Tokyo Dome for a world title match against Ibushi.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean? Because that would be something they would give them back. Do you know what I mean? They'd have to, and that's what New Japan would want. Do you know what I mean? Out of everything that's there, everything that they've got to give them.
Like from my point of view, if Naito shows up, I love Tetsuya Naito.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the biggest deal ever. So they have to. They really do have to pay up for Tetsuya Naito, as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly.
He's the man.
But they do, like I said, they've got Kenny Omega, and that is big. that would be a fair trade if ever I've seen one. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
Especially as that would be a world title thing for New Japan versus, because honestly, New Japan do not rate, as a company, clearly don't rate Tetsuya Naito as highly as the fans do, because he was repeatedly fucked over. And I mean, I think I was the only but this is because I'm an Okada mark. That Wrestle Kingdom match he had with Okada, where everyone was behind him to win that title.
We watched that together, and I was behind Naito, and you were behind Okada.
I was the only person. Mate, I was the only person behind Okada. I went online, and I fully understand why. But it's just I fucking love Okada, and I never want to see him lose. He's my I'm the John Cena kid supporting.
In Japanese terms, you're into John Cena.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, to me, Naito though, I always wonder with New Japan, are they deliberately doing this with Naito, or have they?
It's very long term booking if they're not, because just think of all the repeat. There was there was multiple. There
was him being the
losses.
double champ.
There's but he when he finally got his moment and won at Wrestle Kingdom, that's the moment they choose to have that's the moment they choose to have an unprecedented heel attack. See out their biggest show of the year with Kenta attacking him from behind.
They have Kenta sitting on his face holding the titles. And you're like,
they had him drop the IC title to Chris Jericho to a 50-year-old dude in a match nobody thought Chris Jericho would win. That shook me. That was Dominion, I think. The same.
I don't know, because is Gato still head booker in JPW? Is it still Gato?
I think so. With Jado and Gato, yeah.
Because he is, he knows what he's doing most of the time. But I'm like, is he on a 15-year plan?
For Tetsuya Naito, or is he just really fucking hate him? Do you know what I mean?
Just really waiting for Tanahashi to retire, then suddenly Naito is going to be the king.
You know what? If they do undervalue Naito, it could be for our benefit, because maybe he will show up in this match. The other ones I've heard batted around, this one courtesy of Liam, who I think is a really good shout. RVD, he reckons. He also...
If I'm going to pop for Naito, Patrick's going to pop for...
Yeah,
there we go.
That's my favorite wrestler of all time, so this would be extremely nice. This would be fucking awesome to put it in the right context.
Now, to plant a seed of fear in you, another one that Liam mentioned to me is it could definitely be, because we're thinking about... the logic is someone from New Japan or Impact, because they're the pools they've got to work from for surprises. Do you know what I mean? Just before I get into the less good one, I will say I don't think this is going to happen, because I think it's too low a quality for him, and I don't think they should pull the trigger on this yet. I know people have said Jay White, because I think Jay White might also currently be in the States. I'm not sure though. Liam was saying, it could end up being Tommy Dreamer, which would be a big, maybe a big disappointment. I don't know. I love Tommy Dreamer.
I also love him, but he's
for Tommy Dreamer.
But in the ring nowadays, he's not. He was back then not in a very good physical shape like others, like RVD, for example. So he's not nowadays also anymore. It would be just nice to see him, but it would be also kind of disappointment what you said.
But with the other ones on display, any other time if the forbidden doors plural weren't open, Tommy Dreamer showing up would be an absolute mark out moment. But with the other options that are there, it's just, I think the logic behind thinking it could be him is he's the kind of person that they would just slot right into this match otherwise. Do you know what I mean? But we shall see. And that
there was one person that hasn't been mentioned, which I think, but could be also, which popped up for me in my head.
Yep.
That was Marty Skrull, maybe.
No.
I don't know how hot that is, if they still like take that or so, if they're gonna do that. But it's also a possibility for me. Yeah, maybe a shocker, or I don't know, but still a possibility for me also.
I will give you 10-1 odds that it's not Marty Scurll. I'll give you £50 if Marty Scurll shows up. You give me £5 if it's not him. How about that? It's not Marty Scurll. They are not going to.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't bet on it, but I think he is already in that space that he might come back at one show, or maybe NWA is also putting up a show on 15th of March.
There's no way he can come back to AEW. The WWE marks would have an absolute concern trolling fiesta if Marty Scurll debuted after hashtag speaking out, if his first debut was for AEW. He needs to get that. This is the thing. The only way I can see him working for AEW, the only way I can ever see him working for AEW is if he first works for WWE, so that those concerned trolls have jack shit to say about it. Do you know what I mean? And I could see WWE hiring him. I mean, they've still got Velveteen Dream on the books. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to argue what is objectively worse. I mean, that's not an area I want to get into in this podcast. But you know, I could see them hiring Marty Scurll, and that would just if he went then from WWE after like 5 years in WWE and then appeared for AEW. Yeah, I could see that. I could also see him working in Japan. I thought I heard rumors that he was, in talks with New Japan about going back there. I could definitely see him working. They just don't give us much for shit in Japan, honestly. I mean, take a look at TJP and the fucking, the 16-year-old girl fetishization in the, the idol culture. They're not going to give a shit in Japan. This is the thing. I mean, they don't give a shit about anything in Japan with like real wrestlers' real lives. Like in Jushin Thunder Liger's retirement thing, they featured Chris Benoit and Pegasus Kid in the video package and stuff. So no problem there.
What are they going to call Chris Benoit's son when they sign him?
Pegasus Junior, obviously.
Pegasus Kid.
Pegasus Kid.
He said that he wants to be Chris Benoit Jr. That's
really?
what he wants to be named. He'd never be. Never.
I need to talk about this for a second. That dude is not living on the same planet as the rest of us. It's horribly tragic. But he's not, man. He wants to wrestle but he also wants to wrestle for WWE in his dad's old ring gear, coming out to his dad's old music. Like, what fucking planet you on? Like, even if like he. Oh man, because part of him thinks his dad's innocent as well. Like when he was talking on Chris Van Vliet, he was because on the Dark Side of the Ring, he said, "Oh, that wasn't my dad that day." Like he wasn't himself. But then on the Chris Van Vliet thing, I swear he said that he doesn't think his dad did it. And it's like at all. And it's like
yeah, that's definitely. I also watched that interview, and yeah, he said that he doesn't believe that his dad. He believed that, let's say it like this, that it wasn't his dad. Like in his mind, he said like, it was some other person that he had like a split personality or so. So he's still aware of that, but not thinking about like how murder works. Also, people if they are killing people, if they're psychos, how this works in their brains.
So I was in Chris Benoit's head. I don't know whether Chris Benoit was in control of his actions or not. I don't think anyone does, and I think we waste our fucking time having arguments about it because people really do get so heated about it. Nobody fucking knows. Do you know what I mean? But whatever happens, you can't do that. You can't celebrate his legacy. You just can't. I'm sorry, David. Do you know what I mean? And he looks so much like him. That's a problem as well. He's a spitting image of him. I know.
Yeah, he looks like he's him but skinnier. Basically, it's like
him and Brock Anderson have look more like their dads than anyone has any right to. Do you know what I mean? It's absurd. But yeah. Last but not least, the Hall of Fame caliber person, quote unquote. Well, I didn't say caliber. I can't remember what they said. But yeah, Hall of Fame worthy. That was it. I mean, obvious one would be Kurt Angle, but as we've spoken about, that might just be a red herring. Who could this be? Because they're really bigging it up, and I don't think they would big it up unless it was absolutely massive. I don't think they would big it up this much and undersell it. I think it's someone massive. But who could it be? Patrick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's one point. They also like when I saw it now again, I was like, listen to it. They said Hall of Fame worthy material.
Yeah.
That's the question from how they're formulating it. Is it someone who is already in the Hall of Fame or who could be in future Hall of Fame very closely? So that's the thing where I think they're playing a little bit also with it.
They are
so
playing with it, but I also don't think they're going to underdeliver, honestly.
Yeah, they're definitely not under-delivering it. Just the speculation, seeing who that is. Like maybe they are referencing to Jay White or so, but I don't think that will be because he extended his contract or they said he had a new contract or anything. Or the rumors were there. Let's say at least the rumors were there. It hasn't been confirmed, but the rumors were there. It's definitely not CM Punk. Dear CM Punk said it yesterday on. Yeah,
I saw that. That was so funny. He didn't even specifically. He said. Because he's been trying to do Ask Me Anythings on his Twitter rather than doing it on Reddit like a normal person. And he said, let's try this again, hashtag ask CM Punk or whatever. Oh, and by the way, it's not me. Like he didn't even say on AEW it's not. But
and Paul White also said it. Like, and he said, and it's not the one you think it might be.
Yeah.
So he's also clearly saying it's not CM Punk. Might that also be a reference in the direction they're not they're just fooling us, and then CM Punk shows up?
That's exactly
know.
what someone who it is would say.
Right.
So,
That's
but
really.
I'm with you that CM Punk saying it's not him means nothing, but I think Paul White saying it's not him, not the one you think it is, that means something. I think it's probably definitely not CM Punk based on Paul White saying it. I wouldn't have believed it just on Punk saying it though, for sure.
Yeah, but who else could it be? I know, like Chris. I don't know what. Yeah, Chris Jericho said it. I didn't read the whole article. I didn't listen to a podcast where it was in. But he said like this is also quite funny. We have to say that actually also we didn't talk about that. That Paul White came out with a shirt which says "This time no BS" or "No BS anymore."
No more BS.
Yeah, right. So
Me and Liam were talking about this. How on the surface that's quite a clever shirt. But for people who don't know about wrestling, going out wearing that, you'd look like a right dickhead going around wearing a shirt that says "No more BS." Like, oh, you're odd, you know. It's kind of like the Kevin Steen / Kevin Owens shirt with "Fight Everybody" on. Like that's going to get you in trouble in a nightclub on a night out.
Yeah, and also that like I want to say, like Chris Jericho said on the podcast that like how WWE treated Sting and Paul White was like really unworthy of their status in the industry themselves. So, and I know that Kurt Angle didn't want to go, and they fired him. They fired him, right? Like also with the COVID things last year in the COVID wave. Yeah, and they didn't do anything with him when he was there like properly. They put him up as like the fake son of a. Like of a wrestler who wrestles a little bit of his style. Although it's clearly that Chad Gable would have been the better choice than
Chad Gable and Jason Jordan.
Jason Jordan. That it was Jason
and he
Jordan.
was meant to be Jason Jordan's illegitimate father or whatever.
Yeah, right. Like, this was really weird. Like, also like a little unworthy of him. Although he can do comedy segments also really good, but it was this cringy storyline where they put him in, and then directly his big comeback from his retirement. I think he was retired first, and then nothing came out of it. It was really really disappointing. So maybe he's also in the same section or in the same boat. He was just looking up Jeff Hardy also, but I don't think it's Jeff Hardy.
No, I don't think it's Jeff Hardy.
No.
I was about to ask.
I was like, is he still under contract?
He's still wrestling. Yeah, he's
he
still
was
wrestling
in
there.
the
So
Elimination Chamber, which we'll talk about
I
in a
didn't
second.
really think it was him, but I was like, that would be a bit of a
weird
I would be
thing,
really
right?
confused by that.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Like, if it's not, I didn't really think it was CM Punk, and I really feel it's not.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Well, no,
Yeah.
I feel like they are trying to mislead us, but maybe they're not.
The thing is, who else do we have in mind? That's the
I don't
thing.
know.
Is
about
there
to ask,
anyone
I was
from?
just about to-
Is there anyone
Is
from
it
NWA
Sabu?
left?
Who is it?
or
Like, who is it?
Yeah.
I'll just say, I'll ask this question: what is Mick Foley's contract status at the moment?
Ooh, that's a very good question because he is definitely not happy with what WWE did.
Well, he's
they
appeared
have to
he's
keep
appeared on BTE as well, and he
right.
and he
That's also a good
and he
point.
tweets
Search
about
for Michael
AEW.
Foley. I don't
Who's
know why-
Michael
I don't know
Foley?
why. Why would I search for Michael Foley?
I don't know.
He is. Wikipedia says he's currently signed to WWE, but I don't know what that means. If that's correct. He has a WWE Legends website still, so maybe he still has a contract with them.
So what? Now another name. But what is about Dwayne Johnson? Is he still under WWE contract? Is he still there? Because he mentioned also like AEW sometimes in the tweet and congratulated
he's-
them.
If he
so.
came to AEW, I would love it if his name was The Rick.
This is the thing. We've talked about this. Obviously, this is a pie in the sky kind of possibility, having The Rock come to AEW. It's fantasy stuff, but this is the thing. He at least was like last year or the year before the highest paid actor in Hollywood. Like
He's still, and
Yeah,
he also,
I
but he's also based in Florida. That's another point where you can add in. But I think that's also a very small amount that this will happen, that this will
Bro,
occur. But just to
if The
throw
Rock
some names
signs
in
a-
the ring.
if The Rock signs a multi-year deal with AEW, then I legit think WWE's in trouble. That's the only signing I think they can make. That
Right.
Everyone's watching that shit. That's gonna that's gonna
Yeah.
double their viewership. Their viewership's
Yeah,
what, like
and
700k.
then-
That's gonna go up to
Yeah.
1.4. It'll be their most watched thing ever. I mean, the most watched episode of SmackDown ever was when The Rock came back. So, like, what do you think is going to happen if AEW on network TV show fucking it's going to go fucking mental. Like,
Okay.
that would be a blow to the heart of Vince McMahon. Like, that would really shake shit up. I don't think it's going to happen at all. But like, if it did,
There is something I need to throw out there that it doesn't really mean much, but The Rock appeared at Bound for Glory last year
yeah, in a video
to
package,
induct Ken Shamrock.
yeah.
Does that mean anything? Does that mean he's a free agent? Yeah, I mean it's a video message, but was it like it could mean nothing really? But
I could see him doing he doesn't give a shit about like that stuff. I could see him appearing in a video package for AEW in the future just to like
he famously called CM Punk from the Raw stage after Raw went off there.
yeah,
Like he just called him up on his phone.
yeah.
I'm checking the
His
WWE
daughter,
website.
his daughter is in the performance center. This
Yeah.
would bring,
So
but
he
he's still.
he still has a Superstars website on WWE.com.
I don't think
know
he's
if
on
that means
contract though.
much.
I think that's just he's the fucking
Yeah, because
Rock,
like I
so.
said, like Mick Foley has one. I don't know how much it means, but he does have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I said a minute ago. Though I don't know who it is if it's not Kurt Angle. I just feel really strongly that it's not.
Well, Chris Jericho has a mate up in Canada who runs a wrestling school who tweets about AEW relentlessly.
What, the ghost of Owen Hart?
No,
Oh.
Mr.
But he isn't that big that they say that it's
No.
like this huge. So
No, exactly.
it
I don't
has
think
to
he's
be
big enough.
like Kurt.
But he is
Angle,
Hall of Fame
The Rock,
worthy.
like
Sorry, it's
somewhere in that stage, or CM Punk more.
Just to be clear,
Tyson
we're talking about-
Kidd.
I tell you what, I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to let Hugh keep guessing it because I think Patrick knows what I'm talking about. No, not Tyson Kidd. Canadian. I would say he's Hall of Fame worthy. Although not
Roddy
huge.
Piper.
No, well, he's dead.
So are like half the guys I just mentioned.
Runs a wrestling school. Friends with Chris Jericho. Canadian, obviously.
I don't know
WCW.
who you're talking. I literally don't know who you're talking about.
Big in WCW. Came over in the Invasion.
Chuck Palumbo.
No, has a haircut that is like crap, like close, like a crew cut, kind of like he's in the army.
I literally don't know who you're talking about.
trying to think. Patrick, help me out.
So, shall we make a riddle out of it? So, one wrestler in AEW has his first
Yes,
name and
has his first name.
last, and his last name is something that appears a lot in Iceland, which is Iceland is known for except snow or volcanic eruptions, which are actually not happening that often, but like a weather condition that is here like typically, like every in the winter it's more, but it's basically all over like this weather condition.
Roman Reigns.
It rains.
a lot here.
No, it's not rain. It's not rain. No, it's
But
not
rain
it's
is a
not
feature
snow,
of
it's
this
not
weather
rain,
condition.
It is.
Often.
It's not snow, it's not rain, it's wind.
Yeah. So what is another word for wind? Well, because it's not wind, it's harder than wind. What is it then?
David Tornado.
David Tornado.
That's
Yes,
the
yeah.
that's the new name of Benoit's son, by the way, as a wrestler. David.
David Tornado. I honestly, you are going to have to tell me, I'm sorry.
What? Thunder and lightning. What does that appear in?
Oh, Freddie Mercury.
Emi Sakura.
Emi Sakura.
No. We're laughing about Freddie Mercury.
Because she's
Emi
Freddie
Sakura.
Mercury. That, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's thunder and raining outside. There's a blank brewing.
Oh, not fucking Lance Storm.
Jesus Christ, took your while.
That guy's a prick.
I mean,
Yeah,
as I say,
categorically not.
he's Hall of Fame.
categorically
He
not.
is Hall of Fame worthy, isn't he? As a wrestler.
He is,
to be
but
fair.
he's
like-
not that big, to be honest. Like
No,
not
I
super
agree.
huge,
No, I agree. I agree. It would be
Yeah.
a big letdown. It's one of those weird things where you could look at it and say he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I really hope it's not fucking him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's not many people you could
absolutely.
say. There's not many people you could say that about. That they'd be good enough. And I suppose it's kind of like Dean Malenko or something as well. Do you know? If Dean Malenko wasn't
Dean
in,
Malenko's a
he
fantastic wrestler, but if he was like, I wouldn't be like, oh great, he's here.
The ironic thing is, he's a really fucking funny guy, Dean Malenko. If you listen to him on the AEW podcast, who are obviously competitors with us, AEW Unrestricted, or he's hilarious. He's a hilarious
he's
guy.
Zeppo
It's like
Marks.
yeah, I don't know why he was so like wooden in wrestling, like when he's that fucking funny.
But like, okay, to be honest, I should probably clarify. I don't really think Lance Storm's a bad wrestler. I just
you've
find
called him a
him
prick
so
now.
boring.
That's it.
There's something about him I find so dull. I don't know. Yeah. You know.
Well, anyway, on that lovely note,
maybe Hannibal. Remember that Canadian guy, Hannibal?
Was it called Hannibal? No, what was his? What Heidenreich?
No,
No.
Heidenreich might have been Canadian. There's this guy Hannibal.
No, I don't think he was.
And he got into a fight backstage with Lanny Poffo.
Oh right.
And he nearly broke Lanny Poffo's arm, and the Honky Tonk Man broke it up.
Honky Tonk Man's a shout.
Let's have
the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, that'd be great. He's Hall of Fame worthy.
Speaking of which,
I mean, he's already in it, but you know.
They said talent. They said talent. They didn't say wrestler. So
maybe it's
Jerry the
Jonathan
King Lawler.
Coachman.
Well, I was going a bit bigger than Jonathan Coachman. I was thinking Jerry the King Lawler, but
Oh, good point.
yeah,
they're both creeps.
yeah. But I mean, I could see it. But if they were going to go for an announcer based on what they said, I could see Jerry the King Lawler. However, haven't they got enough fucking announcers? They've got like 5 already. Like, yeah.
We've talked about it because there's a reason why JR's on the desk, but I still feel like he'd be better as a backstage interviewer or something these days. But you know, there is a reason why he's on the desk. It makes complete sense. But yeah,
Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, JR, now Paul White, and I'm sure I'm missing some, but yeah.
I do also think though, like
Anthony Ogogo on Dark, that's another one. Like they've got that's 5 they've got off the bat. Like
and Taz occasionally, right?
Taz occasionally, exactly. Yeah.
Like he did Dark for a while too. But like to be honest though, we can sort of have a go. Like I do frequently have a go at sometimes the size of the announce team. But we do watch AEW and not WWE for a reason, and I do remember some really terrible announcing from the Fed. Like, there's some great announcers of the Fed too, but I remember there being like so many weird 3-person teams there. And we are still doing better than that over here in the AEW, so, you know.
I wonder how good an announcer Michael Cole would be without Vince McMahon's hand up his ass working his mouth. Because
see, I remember him
we've never seen
announcer.
we've never seen him without it, so we can't really.
Yeah.
So Joey Styles.
I remember him as
he's
like the
announcer.
SmackDown play-by-play guy doing like a pretty good job. Like, you know, like not great, but I don't know.
I think people
my
just hate him
go-to
because
play-by-play guy is Matt Striker because he's kind of a hybrid
Matt Striker's
color.
amazing.
He's just really great at being an announcer. Like,
here's a question.
because I remember watching. Me and you watched. Was it Joe Hendry versus Martin Kirby, and it was Matt Striker and Stu Bennett on the.
I don't fucking remember watching that at all.
It was part of the Mexico World Cup in WCPW.
Yes, yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll watch this annoying British wrestling match, I guess, fine. but like I do remember Matt Striker and Stu Bennett literally helped sell the match as a team. Like they helped really sell this whole thing of like, I think like Joe Hendry's going too far. Matt Striker took off his headset because he wanted to go and fight.
Yeah, I remember that now.
You know, it was like Matt Striker really knows what he's doing, and Stu Bennett does as well, of course. You know.
Here's a question for you, both of you: Matt Striker or Mauro Ranallo? Who's a better play-by-play guy?
Mauro Ranallo, but he's not a play-by-play. He's the main guy mostly.
To be fair, I would actually agree. I do think Mauro Ranallo as well. And I love Matt Striker.
What do you mean a main guy? Mauro Ranallo's play-by-play. Tope Suicida! Fucking Excalibur pinched that from him.
I think Mauro Ranallo could do a Joey Styles easily though.
He's straight up play-by-play. He calls the moves. He doesn't do colour.
That's true, but like I think you know how Joey Styles did it on his own.
Yeah.
I think Mauro Ranallo could easily do that.
Well, he did it on his own when he was forced to. Do you know what I mean?
But Joey Styles did a lot of ECW on his own, didn't he? Like back in the day.
He was mostly alone, like all the time. Not all the time. Some will correct me, but he was
forced to
alone.
be with Taz towards the end.
Oh, I mean, I see Mauro Ranallo up to the challenge, but I don't know. Like
at the same time,
Joey Styles is probably the greatest announcer of all time. I'd die
for
on that
sure.
hill, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely,
for sure.
definitely.
But like, for example, I love Matt Striker, but like, obviously, I'm the default Lucha Underground fan of the podcast when I come on. one of the main things he did was play off well against Vampiro there. One of the main things he did well in the match I just mentioned was play off well against Stu Bennett. Yeah. Like, maybe he's not that good on his own. I don't know. Yeah.
Like I said, these people are untested, you know what I mean?
Match on his own, personally.
Yeah. Right.
But I haven't seen him do that yet, so...
Right, so can I bring quickly someone else into the game, which I had to look up quickly? I was browsing through some free agents right now, and there's one free agent which would be also a huge surprise and not be such a big surprise, maybe not as The Rock. It's Brock Lesnar because he's out of contract also. So
I don't want him to come though.
Me neither, but he is still like kind of a big guy. I don't know where he wants to go now with that whole thing. He takes a lot of money also for that, and I don't know how invested he is and if he has like a big connection to AEW or like has friends over there or so. I don't. But just another name to drop in there because he's
I'm pretty sure Brock Lesnar literally doesn't have friends.
Brock Lesnar.
He doesn't have friends.
That's not me having a go at Brock Lesnar. He doesn't like people. Like, you know.
Brock Lesnar is. It's a big statement, so I'm trying to think. I can't think of a better big man wrestler than Brock Lesnar. He's just become boring because WWE use him wrong. Do you know what I mean? They use him just to beat the shit out of people in fucking 12-second matches, and like but he's so fucking good, man. You go back and watch his old stuff. He's still in shape. He could still do that if he was told to. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I know what you mean because you can find videos of his OVW matches with Batista.
Yeah,
and they're really good.
Like, and that's a match with Batista in.
Exactly, and they're unreasonably good. And to be fair, actually, Batista does a lot better in that kind of indie one day a week environment than he does.
You think his matches with Kurt and Eddie and shit are fucking legendary?
Fantastic, like especially with Kurt, like him and Kurt, because they're both amateur wrestlers. They're really good, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know, like. I feel like there is a better big man wrestler, but I can't think of one. So
that's exactly how I feel. That's how I feel. Like I wanna say no because I feel like there's someone I'm missing that's better than Brock Lesnar, but I can't think of a big man wrestler off the top of my head that's better than Brock Lesnar.
Like, because I'm an old school Undertaker fan. I've loved Undertaker for years, but even prime Undertaker didn't have quite the range of skills that Brock Lesnar had when he was first around. You know, like Brock Lesnar when they're not doing his MMA gimmick, when he's out at OVW.
Yeah.
He's got a pretty varied style of wrestling for someone who's trained by WWE. You know.
But yeah, let's throw those names out there. Fucking to sum up, Kurt Angle, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Canadian sensation. What was it we called him? David Thunder.
David Thunderstorm.
David Thunder.
David Thunderstorm. Yeah.
That great wrestler, David Thunder.
He's actually called David T. Thunderstorm, and the T is for Thunderstorm. Yeah.
Twice the thunder, twice the pain. That's his catchphrase.
Yeah. He's like J.J. Abrams because the J's in J.J. Abrams both stand for J.J., so his name's actually J.J. Abrams. So
Jerry the King Lawler, Brock Lesnar. Could be any of these. Probably not.
Batista also, although he announced his retirement. Mick Foley.
Hey, Batista said a thing on Twitter recently where he said, "This is also a kind of tease because we think he was talking about other people, other wrestlers, but he could have been talking about himself." He put on Twitter, he said something to the effect of, I'm paraphrasing because I haven't got it in front of me, but he said something to the effect of, "We're going to have to think of a new word for retirement." For wrestlers because they say retirement and they don't mean it. He said we're going to have to think of a new name, a new word for retirement for wrestlers when they retire, but they might come back. Do you know what I mean? Because
very good point.
Funking.
I read that also.
We should call it funking.
Funking.
Because Terry Funk retired 7 times.
That's a good one.
Like, yeah. I mean, anyway, I've got a really good swerve ball. Imagine if it was Vince McMahon. Think about it.
I was talking to who was I talking to about this? How Vince McMahon, I think it was Liam again. Vince McMahon. Okay, for one thing, I was telling Liam, Vince McMahon didn't know who AJ Styles was before AJ Styles came to WWE. He had never heard of AJ Styles.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. and he wasn't
he
impressed
didn't
by
know
him when he
that,
first.
he didn't know that Anderson was Festus, or Gallows was, whichever
Gallows.
one is the tall one.
And this one blew my mind, and it's just, I think this just sums up Vince's kind of WWE is the whole world of sports entertainment / wrestling, even though he doesn't like wrestling and nothing else exists. Apparently, so Chris Jericho, I think this was on a podcast he was talking, Chris Jericho went and told Vince McMahon and said, I'm going to go sign with AEW. And Vince McMahon was like, yeah, sure, whatever, like that. And then Chris Jericho, I don't know if he'd already started wrestling for AEW. He might have been the fucking champion at the point or something like that. And one day, Vince, it was probably after Double or Nothing, he probably wasn't the champion at this point. Vince calls him up and tells me he wants him for, like, I don't know, SummerSlam or something like that. It probably wasn't SummerSlam. And then he's like, Vince, I can't. I told you, I've just signed for AEW. He was like, oh, well, can you get out of that contract and come to us? I can't come work a fucking show. I just signed a multi-year. I told you this was happening. Do you know what I mean?
Goodness.
So
like,
I remember
old white man.
Vince, going back to the Benoit thing a little, but like he was like, oh, I don't believe that Benoit's brain was so damaged that he was like an Alzheimer's patient because that's what people said about Benoit.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe Vince doesn't believe that about himself?
I like to think
he's actually completely dazed all the time.
Just on that, I kind of like the idea that someone's like, so like, oh yeah, but Benoit had brain damage, and then Vince's like, no, he didn't have brain damage. And like, oh, so it was the steroids then? He was like, yes, he had brain damage. Like, just
oh,
like,
for sure,
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure. Yeah.
Just a pause while his brain works, and then goes, no, it was the brain damage. You're right. You were right the first time.
Just remembering this interview they had, like was it after the I think it was after the Benoit murder, where he was like sitting face to face with this interviewer, and he asked him about the concussion protocol and stuff and how that happened, and he just smashed his notes out of his hand. And this is like, yeah, this is a really good point that he might turn that around all the time. Also with the sexual harassment of all the women, like all over his career, but
Of every woman he's ever met,
himself,
apparently.
booking himself into angles
Right.
where he has to make
yeah,
out
right.
with them.
It's gonna
Poor
be
Vince.
super. It's gonna be super weird when in like 6 years Stephanie McMahon sues him for sexual harassment.
Well, no, but he had a he tried to book an incest angle with himself and Stephanie refused. And when she refused to do that, he then suggested that it be with Shane instead of him, and she again refused. So
That reminds me of
Oh my god, I forgot about that. But yeah,
that reminds me of Donald Trump saying that his daughter is really hot, but she's his daughter, like something in his way.
Yeah.
So yes.
yeah. So Vince McMahon to debut at Revolution. You heard it here first.